What advice do you give to new parents? Well, I'm going to tell you mine. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting, good communication, how to build strong family bonds, child development, and education. And in this video, we are talking about advice for new parents. There's nothing more exciting than becoming a new parent, and you look in the face of that little baby, and there's just so much hope, so much happiness, so much joy, but then also a little bit of concern because you may not know what you're doing. I remember the first time I looked into the face of my first child and I thought, this is so cool, so amazing, and I'm slightly overwhelmed, like all at the same time. And so of course people are looking for advice and people freely give advice, but is it all good advice? The answer is no. We're going to talk about some of that bad advice, some of that good advice, and then I'm going to share some of the best advice that I can think of, which will hopefully help any new parents out there. I'm at the stage of life now where all of my children are grown, they're adults, they're having babies of their own, and so here I am giving them motherly advice again. Now there's a lot of advice that I don't need to give my children, and that's because of how I raised them initially. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but first I do want to talk about some bad advice. There are people that give bad advice to new parents all the time. Advice that is in the selfishness or self-serving camp. You've always got to watch out for that. If somebody gives you advice that sounds like it's just for your own self, be a little skeptical. Now, this doesn't mean that we should never do anything nice for ourselves or that we shouldn't take care of ourselves. We absolutely should, but we should not be putting ideas into our head that make us think more selfish thoughts. Because when you've got a new baby, you are in the sacrifice zone. In fact, for many, many years, as you raise that child, you will be embracing duty, teaching, sacrifice, extra work, no sleep, all those things. But you can embrace it. You can say to yourself, this is good. This is okay. Raising a person, scripting a person, loving a person is worth it. I'm forming another human being. It's all worth it. Isn't that what we tell ourselves when the baby is in our belly? We say, it's worth it. It's worth it. I've got a daughter right now who's so close to having that baby, and she's just right out there. And she's like, it's worth it, right, Mom? It's worth it. And I'm like, yes, it's so worth it. We tell ourselves then it's worth it. But guess what? For another, well, ever we tell ourselves that it's worth it, actually. But when they're little, it's worth it to tell them the same lesson again and again and again. When they're a little bit older and they start getting an attitude problem and they think they're so smart, it's worth it then. Keep serving, keep sacrificing, keep doing that teaching, even though it takes more work. That actually will lead to an improved relationship. It will make for good leadership. You will feel more confident in your role as parents. Things won't get away from you as much as you might be concerned that they could, as you've maybe seen in some people's homes where their children push back and fight against them and have tantrums all the time. If you are willing to put in the work, and you have the skills that you need for success, then your children will be successful. Probably one of the worst bits of advice that I got when I had my first baby is a woman, completely unsolicited, told me that I should never feed my baby more than every 4 hours. And that if that baby cried, that's just how it was. They were going to have to learn that they would only get to eat every 4 hours. And I was really blown away by that. I thought, is that true? Is that not true? Thank goodness I had a really great nurse who said, this baby's going to need to eat probably every 2 hours. And if you're feeding your baby every 2 hours, especially here at first, you're not doing anything wrong. So embrace that. I was so glad about that because had I just listened to that woman, my child would have thought I wasn't helping them get their needs met. And that's one of the most important things that we teach our children when they're bonding to us early on is that we're here for you. We will help you get your needs met. You won't know everything at first, but there are a couple of things that you can be mindful of. And that is that in order to create a good parenting structure, you need a certain type of a tone or feeling that you carry with you, a presence that you have that can help to instruct your children's hearts and minds. And then you also need a structure, something that everybody can lean on and rely on to help everybody accept the consequences, that they will happen, that they're healthy, that they're good. And also to do that proactive teaching to teach them the skills that they're going to need for success. So if you've already subscribed to this channel, then you know that this Teaching Self-Government channel is all about teaching yourself and your children the skills and principles that they need for self-mastery so that they can solve their own problems, take responsibilities for themselves, have good bonds with family members, know who they are, have increased confidence and self-worth. All of those things come from the communications and problem solvings that you have in those day-to-day moments with your family members. And on this channel, I have video after video explaining how to correct negative behaviors, how to teach problem solvings, how to teach children not to have tantrums, how to help strong-willed children. The list could go on, but basically, all of the teaching is rooted in one principle. That principle is self-government. Now, when I say that I've been teaching self-government and that people learn a lot of skills from me, I mean, I've really done a lot of work, okay? Here's 4 children's books, 4 books for tracking and recording progress in the family and having good meetings as a family, learning problem-solving skills. And then there's these smaller books on top that are instructive books that help teach all the skills and principles of self-government to the parents. Now, as a parent, I would recommend to you that the first book you read in this stack of books is this one, Popular Parenting Methods. It's by me, by Nicholeen Peck. It's going to talk about the different ways that people parent and the results that they get from that. That is probably going to be the #1 thing that will help you decide which direction you want to go. Now, after this book, these other books will seem more enticing to you. But if you are wanting to learn self-government at your house, this book here, Parenting a House United, is the key piece because it teaches all of the skills and principles of self-government. So make a deliberate choice about what type of parent you want to be by having the information that you need. Many people jump into parenting, they start doing parenting and training of their children without ever deliberately looking at what their options are. They just go with what they feel like at the minute or maybe what they've seen their parents do. And sometimes they're successful, but sometimes it's just a lifetime of pain for them and for their children. Don't let that happen to you. Make a plan ahead of time about what you want to do. As you're preparing to teach your children, don't forget the definition of self-government. Let me tell you what that is now. So when a person governs themselves, and that's what we want for ourselves and our children, then the person understands the cause and effect of any given situation and possesses a knowledge of their own behaviors so that they can control them. That means they make a plan for themselves, they know how to follow through, they don't allow themselves to fall into bad habits and moments of weakness. They pull themselves out of those moments so that they can become the best version of themselves. And the tone and structure start when the baby is really little. So my daughter, Paige, when she had my first grandchild, because she was raised with the skills and principles of self-government and understanding how to actually choose calmness, she started raising my granddaughter, Clara, to take deep breaths starting at 4 months old. So when children are little babies, one of their ways that they communicate with you is through their breathing and your breathing. When you hold them and they feel nice, calm breathing, then their breathing will match that rhythm and they'll get calm with you. When her daughter would breathe and go because she was excited, she would mimic that, which taught her daughter, I breathe too. And so then she would teach her daughter how to take deep breaths. When her daughter was sad or upset, she would hold her little hand in front of her face and she would say, take deep breaths, Clara, deep breaths. And she even a couple of times blew in Clara's face so she would know what mom was doing. Mom was breathing out, and that's what it felt like. So Clara started to learn to take deep breaths at a very, very young age. By the time she was a year old, you could just say to Clara, "Oh, Clara, take deep breaths, get calm," and Clara could stop, take deep breaths, and get calm. Before she even had any words that she knew how to say, she knew how to self-regulate. This was the beginning of a very, very calm babyhood and toddlerhood. Not to say she never had her tantrums, but if they ever started, mom could direct her toward using her self-government skills. Speaking of calmness, on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, there is a Calm Parenting Toolkit that right now is free. So if you write out teachingselfgovernment.com and you go to the home page on that website, you find that Calm Parenting Toolkit. You can get all 10 tools for calmness for free. This will be a great first step in your self-government journey. After the calmness lessons, then you'll probably be ready to start learning those skills of self-government that your children will need so that they can communicate effectively with you. Go to teachingselfgovernment.com. I'll see you there.